again, passing offense looked pretty good. Yep.
Okay.
And we heard this week that Sammy Watkins says Aaron Rodgers is on a different level to Mahomes. So that's more bulletin board material for Mahomes to take in as we head into the regular season. But so passing offense looked like a midseason form, and that was without JuJu, and that was without Mecole Hardman. So the fact that he didn't miss a beat, and the Commanders have a pretty decent defense. So like that's one of the strengths of their team, and he Jody Fortson, your boy, also looked pretty damn good in that game too.
Yeah, he sure did, man. Showed out. It was great to see him back. Really.
Yeah.
You see his playmaking ability out there, and then how much the offense. How can it just extend with the possibilities with a guy like that physical body out there for sure? So yeah, man. All tight ends did well in the game. Yeah. So tight end brothers, tight end power, baby.
Seriously.
Look good.
And also the back shoulder. You could see Patrick's kind of like chemistry with Fortson. That back shoulder throw in the end zone, but that first touchdown he had was so sweet.
Oh yeah.
But the thing that everyone's talking about, we talked about a little bit last week, is the running game. The 2 games so far, CEH 4 carries for 10 yards. Pacheco, everyone's favorite guy, 6 carries, 14 yards. McKinnon has not carried the ball yet, but he did look good out of the backfield, catching that nice little outlet pass from Mahomes for like 14 yards. So he looks good in the passing game, and I think he will be our main passing down back.
Yeah.
So with everyone's kind of concerns from seeing the run game, what do you make of what you've seen from the run game, and are you concerned?
Am I concerned? No, because we're not. These games are not counting for one, so I'm not really concerned. And I know this thing is a process; it takes time, especially when you're just trying to work from training camp, getting the pads on, getting the fits. We know these things are going to come, and so I'm not really concerned about it because I know these guys are going to get it right. I trust the guys that's up in the front to get everything right. I mean, we got a good crew of guys, man, up there that, like I said, we call them one of the best linemen, O-line in the NFL, and they are, no doubt about it. So they're going to be working on it. What do I see as a problem? One thing I do see, maybe not necessarily concerned, but the issue I'll talk about and address is primarily when you're from, especially like during training camp, preseason, you're trying to establish your offense for what it is. You're trying to define what it is you're going to do offensively. And we know that the Chiefs are one of the teams that, we're going to throw the ball around. And so sometimes what ends up happening is, the linemen are working so much on pass protection that they may not be coming off the football as much, right? And so that could be possible, part of the thing, because, when you're sitting back on your heels, we know now that you're not really, you ain't got all your cleats in the ground coming off the football. And so that may be an issue. Another thing is also too is, we do a lot of RPOs. And I think one of the things they brought out was Pacheco, the play that he ran, and everybody was kind of talking about and diagramming and saying, here's the issue about him reading, was it was an RPO play. And so what happens sometimes with the RPO is it's run pass option. And so what you do is you make a count out of the box about what it is that you're going to do with the football. Okay. You got a certain count in the box is going to determine if you're going to run the ball or you're going to pass the ball. And it's all based off the quarterback. The linemen don't know that. They block the scheme in itself. That's what happens. And the wide receivers, they run the routes. What sometimes can happen with the RPO is kind of the same thing with, I said, with it's in the passing game. It's supposed to be run first that you're thinking of in the fits. But what you end up doing is you end up sometimes catching the defender. That's what ends up happening. Because I know, the rules are different as far as like getting down the field, because the ball's got to come out quick. RPOs, ball's out right now. That's not something that Patrick can wait. He's making a decision right at the line of scrimmage. The running back is knowing, hey, I'm running it. I think somebody had made a comment about Pacheco didn't know the ball was coming. Well, that's not true, because when you were RPO, you expect the ball to come to you all the time. You got to run like the ball's coming to you all the time. And so based off the count, what you're seeing, you got to go full speed. The problem, I think the problem is, and I said this, is Pacheco just needs to kind of slow down. He needs to trust the O-line and the blocking scheme for what it is. And so he's going to be able to have the power, but he's got to work on his vision and his patience. And I said that, kind of on Twitter and kind of addressed it. And guess what? A couple of days later, EB said the exact same thing. And I'm like, of course. That's pretty much kind of what it is. Because we know this, look, the kid can run. He's got power. He's going to be able to put his head down. And he is, without a doubt, a physical guy. He's a physical runner, something that I say the Chiefs need. The thing is, when you have that physical ability about you and you feel like everything is a nail and you're a hammer, then you're going to treat the problem as such. But I think now he has to just trust the plays to develop in front of him, trust the blocking scheme, know exactly what everybody's doing in front of you and kind of reading the defense. And so I think that's some of the issues, of course, with the blocking, maybe the RPO, but also too, as far as the running back, him having the patience of being what it needs to be in the NFL, right? And so it's a learning process, man. It's going to take him some time. He just got in the league. It's not college. It's not Rutgers. So it's a whole different animal up here in the NFL. Like I said, you got linebackers who's going to be able to fill that hole. Sometimes we sit there and we see, oh, it looks like a big lane. But shoot, if you got a linebacker who's running a 4-4, he's going to fill that lane and he's ready to light him up. And so it may not necessarily look as open as it should, but also too, it's part of trusting the offense scheme, because it's like, well, it's going to be there, right? Like the hole's going to breathe. And so when you hear, and if you go to the segment of listening to Priest about what he did, Priest studied and he went through exactly what he was going to do in a game. And it takes time. It takes preparation. It takes a little bit more than just, hey, this is where the ball's going to go. No, you got to think about your adjustments right there on the fly. I mean, it's got to happen right now, because everything's in split second. It's got to be second nature. And that vision is something that you can develop. It's the same thing. You can develop these things. So I know I'm kind of talking. It's a lot talking about it, but there's a lot to it. It's just not that easy just to say, hey, you know what? I could get a football on the back, get a handoff. Here's the hole, and let me go. Yeah. Well, if the tight end gets caught in the hole, which would end up happening, I don't know if everybody's seen that, but the tight end kind of got hit, kind of got blasted. So now Pacheco has got to make that move immediately when he knows it's not there. And so guy like that takes time. I think, to be honest with you, I seen CEH had positive yards on some of the things that he was running. Like I said, some of the fits need to be a little bit more cleaner coming off the football, and those guys will get there eventually. So
do you think, and this is something that I mentioned on, I don't know if I mentioned on our show, but I was on the Spoken podcast 2 weeks ago, and I just watched the Texas Tech game where Mahomes played, and they didn't run obviously Texas Tech, they don't really run the ball at all.
Right.
They use the quick game as their substitute for the running game. And I know it's preseason, but we had 2 drives, right? And we saw mostly CEH in that first drive and a little bit of McKinnon, and then Pacheco came in the second drive.
Yeah.
And CEH had 2 carries within the 2 drives that he was in. I believe Pacheco had 4 carries. So that's 6 carries between the 2 running backs.
Yeah.
It was a lot of passing. Do you think that without Tyreek Hill this year, do you think we're going to start to see more of this, that air raid style where we're throwing the ball for short, quick gain instead of running the ball? I mean, I know it's too small sample size, 2 games. We're not running the ball often. Maybe we're just trying to see how it looks in the passing game. But would you be surprised if we kind of went to that kind of style in a way?
This is kind of what the Chiefs do. I think what you have to incorporate more is the running game, right? I think you had to be able to run the football because running the football will open up the pass. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes when you throw the football, it's the same thing. I don't care if you have Tyreek Hill. If you're throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game, it's going to be a passing defense. Mm. And so this is what defensive coordinators do a great job of in the NFL, is like trying to see what your tendencies are. And we're going to make sure that we're doing everything within our power to stop that. Mm. And so they'll disguise particular things. They may make a count to make it seem like we're going to do this, but they do something else. And so, they'll bring the safety down in the paint. They'll blitz from depth. And so it's one of those things that you just do a lot of film study, but I think that we need to incorporate the run. And so once you establish the run, it will definitely open up the pass. But if you come out slinging the ball, which we have a lot of receivers, we know Patrick going to be able to get the ball to guys. We know that. And so I don't think that's the issue in itself. The issue will be if we're not able to run the football effectively.
Right.
Then that's where everything kind of changes. Mm. So, and I said, when you have guys up front that like to bang, get them in the rhythm, get them in the habit of coming off the football. I mean, you just got to do that. And that's practice. That's practice. That's practice. So 9-on-7, you're doing it, you're doing it in team, but you got to create that balance. You got to create where the guys are comfortable running the football so they can see the lanes. And our guys got to be comfortable coming off the ball to open them up. And so right now, where everything is kind of tight and the offense is more predicated on passing the football, lanes may not be that open, right? Mm-hmm. And so you may be expecting pass, and all of a sudden we do a run, right? But what ended up happening, the lineman, like I said, may not be coming off the football like you want them to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The reason why I asked that is because when I watched that game and I saw Texas Tech didn't really have like a go-to guy, they were spreading the ball around to everybody. Everyone was getting the ball. Everyone was getting a piece. And it was like, okay, if they're really not running the ball, and obviously anyone who watches Texas Tech, especially the years Mahomes was there, they weren't really winning games. Everyone was just focusing on the pass. They didn't really have much of a running game. So yeah, no, I was just curious because like what I've seen for the first two drives last week and then the week before, it's like literally maybe with 2 runs, it's literally just all passes. I mean, we're just getting the ball downfield. We're kind of like utilizing all the different weapons that we have, and that's just so we're not really used to with offense because usually Kelce Hill kind of deal, and then
well, I'll say this, okay. So what we seen last year in particular games is we came down to where it is in the red zone, and we're passing the football, right? And so we throw an interception, go on to Tyreek, or we throw like a quick little screen pass to him or out in the flat, and we don't score. Mm. We go down and we're going to get, and we're trying to score at the end of the game to get a touchdown. And I think we ran the ball once, maybe.
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay, because we haven't established a run, like we need to do that. We need to have a guy. We need to have an offense. We need to have plays that we got to get positive yards. Sometimes it's just, hey man, it is sometimes just hunkering down, playing bully ball, and hitting guys in the mouth. Mm-hmm. And we got the guys up front to do it. We do. I mean, when we talk about Trey, Creed, Thuney, right? We got Orlando Brown Jr., Wiley. Let these guys come off the ball. Mm. Let them come off. And so now I think, kind of going into like Blake Bell, who is on IR, possibly on IR, that tight end is going to be very important. Now we got the fullback. Now he does a great job opening up the holes, right? Getting 1 or 2 yards. But after a while, when people see him coming in the game, that's what they're going to be thinking, right? Here comes the, fullback dive real quick. Okay. Or the cross counter with him. So, hey, it's you got to get good at particular things so you're not predictable.
Yeah,
offense.
Do you? Because and obviously we talk about certain players get certain slander. We obviously talked about like the Josh Gordon slander, and then the CH also gets slander too. First round pick, people think he's a bust and all this stuff. And one thing people have said is, oh, he looks awful this preseason. You know, I said four carries, 10 yards in the 2 games, small sample size. But do you think it's hard for a running back? I mean, I know a lot of NFL teams are starting to go to committee. You don't really have the bell cow running back anymore.
Right.
Most teams are starting the committee running back. I mean, it's tough for a guy to kind of get into any kind of rhythm when it's, you know, when he's getting the ball 4 times in 2 games. Again, preseason, so we're taking that into context. You're 4 carries, 10 yards, and then Pacheco's spelling in. He's getting 6 carries for 14 yards. I mean, either guy can't really get into a rhythm. I mean, is that tough too for a running back?
Oh yeah, it's extremely tough. I mean, everybody wants the ball, and sometimes, you know, some running backs get better as they go. It's like the more that you feed them, right? And so he wants to be able to, you know, get the ball tote. Maybe one time he hit 2 yards. The next time he might hit him over the head for 8 or 16. But the thing is, if you're sitting over here and you're switching guys on series, then it's like, well, shoot, now I'm getting cold. Then I got to warm myself back up again. And so if a guy is hitting, like last year, we seen Jerick McKinnon was hitting, you know, during the playoffs, and then all of a sudden we take him out and CH comes in, and it was like, you know, you're trying to do this mix and this balance of maybe trying to keep both guys happy.
Mm-hmm.
And look, if a guy's winning, you got to play him. You got to let him run. Yeah, I mean, that's how it works. That's how it works. So, yeah, man, it's difficult. It's almost liking it to, after I'm thinking about this, you know, like the Olympic track team. And so sometimes when you see the relay races, you know, you'll see some, you know, certain personnel on there who's running the race. So they might not use that same personnel all the time, but it's like, hey, look, we know this is a winning formula of having these few guys in here with the, you know, whoever may be the personnel who has the best shot of winning, you know, the goal. And so it's the same thing kind of in football. If you're going to do that, you know, you make sure you got to have your, like you said, your main runners running, but you make sure you feed that guy. CEH, you got to feed him. I think it's unfair. He had 4 carries for 10 yards. You can't judge him on that. You can't judge him on that. There's a lot of things you got to be able to judge in that, right? Look at the whole offense, like, you know, like the offensive line. How are the fits looking? All the wide receivers blocking. You know, what are they doing? All this is preseason. So you're going to be able to get these things, you know, kind of in order before the first game. And the thing is, if you don't, you're going to get hit in your mouth, and you got to learn from it. So I think the guys are learning from it. I think it's one of these things that's going to be emphasized within these next couple of weeks, and they'll be ready for Arizona.
Yeah. No, 100% agree. And I think we talked about in the show that I think CH is some of his best games have come when he has 25 or more carries. His first game against Houston, and I believe there's the game against the Tuesday night game against Buffalo during 2020. So, you know, like some of his best games have come 25 plus carries. So I don't know. There is something to that, feeding the guy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's just, you know, like I said, with this offense, it's tough with this pace that you do, because if certain things working, he's like, okay, we're gonna let it work. I mean, we got, you know, the best arm in the league.
Yeah.
You know, so tough.
And I do like the. I know people are going to start to notice that the Michael Burton handoffs for the 3rd and shorts, the 4th and shorts, but 2 preseason games, 2 conversions right there on the 3rd and 1s.
Yeah, hey, like I said, but there, you know, you could go to that pony every once in a while, and then all of a sudden it's like, here comes Burton, here comes Burton.
Yeah.
Well, if it works, and here it's what happens. So we know he comes in, he gets 2 first downs off of that. Now play action off of it, right? Because he has been successful running the football. And you're like, oh, well, shoot, now it's open, because they're thinking run because Burton's in the game. So I think they try to do the run with the 12 personnel. We had, I think it was Noah Gray that wrapped around into the A gap to open it up. And so we'll see more of that. We'll see more of those guys and trusting guys to come on to get in there and make those blocks.
Yeah. I mean, we're really, we talked about on the show before, we're really limited with those 3rd and short plays, because that QB sneaks out the window. We'll never do that ever again.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, there's certain things you can do. So.
Oh, man. It's funny. I when I was watching the Texas Tech game the other day, I saw it was a QB sneak with Pat. Pat can use some work on the QB sneak. It didn't look great. I know it was college, Pat, but like it didn't look pretty. I'll actually send it to you. It can use some work on it.
Yeah, the thing is, man, it just makes it where you don't want to try because he got hurt the one time. It's like, man, look, we can't do that, man. Look, this is everything is riding on this guy being okay, right?
Yeah.
Shoot. So we could talk about backups all day long, but that 15 ain't in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole different offense.
But it was just a freak injury though. So it's like the fact that we're never going to do it ever again. I mean, the first time we do, we're going to surprise some people because we haven't done it since that play. So it's like, I mean, gosh, it was a freak accident. It's crazy.
I know it, man. Hey, I get it though. I get it.
Same here.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get podcasts.